I grew up near the tall face of Pikes Peak. The place is called Crystal Park. The land is quiet now. The trees and rocks keep old stories. There are many stories about Nikola Tesla and the place he worked. Some stories are well known. Some do not fit with the known history. They hint at something more, something left unsaid in the official accounts. It feels as if a chapter was torn from the book of time, leaving behind only faint traces and quiet questions. This essay wants to tell a simple, clear story. It is a story about what might have been missed. We will look at the accepted history of Tesla's time in Colorado. We will then compare it to the strange events. We will then compare it to the local memories that do not quite fit. The goal is not to create a myth. The goal is to ask a serious question. Is it possible that we only know half the truth? Could the story of Tesla's work be far more complex and profound? Especially the part that unfolded near Crystal Park. Nikola Tesla came to Colorado Springs in May of 1899. He was not there for the clean mountain air or the scenic views. He was there for the lightning. The high altitude and frequent, powerful thunderstorms made a perfect natural laboratory. He wanted to do a big experiment, one that could change the world forever. He chose a remote plateau east of town to avoid disturbing residents and attention. He built a large, barn-like wooden laboratory. The building was about 100 feet on each side with a tall, retractable roof. From the center of the roof, a massive metal mast soared 200 feet, topped with a large copper sphere. Inside, he assembled his masterpiece, a gigantic magnifying transmitter. People now call it the Tesla coil. It was the largest and most powerful electrical coil ever built. It was designed to generate millions of volts and operate at incredibly high frequencies. He wanted to send electrical energy without wires, to transmit power through the air, and, more importantly, through the Earth itself. Tesla's work in Colorado Springs looked dramatic. It was impossible to hide completely. When he activated his magnifying transmitter, the effects were spectacular and often frightening to those who witnessed them. He created artificial lightning bolts that were many feet long, some reportedly stretching over 130 feet. These man-made sparks crackled and boomed, filling the laboratory with a deafening roar and the sharp smell of ozone. He was, in essence, creating small, controlled thunderstorms inside his wooden building. The experiments produced other strange and beautiful phenomena. Tesla wrote in his notes about the air around the laboratory becoming filled with a mysterious glow. He saw faint, ethereal light, sometimes called St. Elmo's fire, clinging to metal objects and to the wings of insects. He could make vacuum tubes and light bulbs glow brightly in his hand without any wires connected to them. He was painting the air with electricity. People living in the surrounding area could not ignore the experiments. Residents of Colorado Springs, several miles away, reported their electric lights would flicker and sometimes go out entirely. Some said they could draw small sparks from metal objects like water taps or fences. Horses were said to have been spooked when sparks jumped between their metal shoes and the ground. The strange lights and sounds were more than just a spectacle for Nikola Tesla. They were data. He kept incredibly detailed notebooks during his 9 months in Colorado Springs. These notes are a treasure trove of scientific observation. Precise measurements, complex calculations, hand-drawn diagrams. He was not just an inventor, he was a physicist conducting a grand-scale planetary experiment. In his notes, Tesla chronicled the sounds and the light with meticulous care. He wrote about seeing strange, stationary glows in the atmosphere and measuring the electrical potential of the air at different altitudes. He documented his discovery of what he called stationary waves in the Earth. He claimed that after sending a powerful pulse of electricity into the ground, he could detect its echo as it traveled through the planet and returned. This, he believed, was proof the Earth could be used as a giant conductor for wireless energy transmission. They showed Tesla was doing far more than just building a bigger coil. He was probing the planet, trying to measure its resonant frequency. The idea, the Earth, like a musical instrument, has a natural electrical frequency. If he could match that frequency with his transmitter, he could send energy through the globe with very little loss. This concept was decades ahead of its time and foreshadowed the later discovery of the Schumann resonances. He wrote about detecting signals he believed were extraterrestrial. That claim brought him both fame and ridicule. But beneath the sensational headlines, his core work was focused on the Earth itself. The usual history of Tesla's time in Colorado is short and bittersweet. It says that he arrived in 1899, built his experimental station, and conducted his high-voltage experiments for several months. Then the story quickly pivots to the end. It states that his primary financial backer, John Jacob Astor IV, grew wary. The funds dried up. Suddenly, in January 1900, Tesla packed his bags and left Colorado Springs, never to return. This version of history concludes with a sense of anticlimax. The narrative explains that Tesla left behind significant debts. To settle these debts, his magnificent laboratory and all its contents were seized. The towering structure was later dismantled, and its wood and metal were sold for scrap to pay off his creditors. The site where he had once generated artificial lightning was eventually cleared. And today, a public park and a simple gazebo stand as a modest memorial to his time there. The official story is tidy, logical, and ultimately, a tale of financial failure. This true story is neat, and it seems to close the book on the drama. It portrays Tesla as a brilliant but impractical dreamer whose vision outstripped his resources. The story ends not with a bang, but with the quiet sound of lawyers and auctioneers. It frames his Colorado venture as a spectacular but ultimately unsuccessful prelude to his later, more famous failure at Wardenclyffe on Long Island. This narrative conveniently packages his work into a cautionary tale. Yet, some facts make this tidy story feel incomplete. It focuses almost entirely on the financial outcome, while glossing over the scientific substance of his work. Well, that is worth asking. The official history, with its clean ending, stands in contrast to the messier, more persistent local memories from the area, particularly from places like Crystal Park. These memories are not all found in mainstream history books. They live on in the letters and diaries of local residents and in oral traditions passed down through families. They add a layer of detail and mystery that the official account lacks, painting a picture of a landscape deeply affected by Tesla's work. People whose families lived in the area for generations told small stories that were never widely published. They spoke of an odd, low-frequency humming that seemed to emanate from the ground itself on nights when Tesla was working. They described how animals, both domestic and wild, would become agitated and behave strangely. Some old newspaper clippings from the time mention these anecdotes, but they are often treated as curiosities rather than serious evidence. The large authoritative histories rarely repeat these small but significant notes, and that leaves a hole in the narrative. History is often written from a top-down perspective, focusing on great men, major events, and documented financial transactions. The small, personal experiences of ordinary people, especially those that are strange or hard to explain, are frequently left out. These local memories act as a counter-narrative. They suggest the effects were more pervasive than a few flickering lights and hint that the energy was interacting with the environment in complex ways. They are pieces of the puzzle that the official story seems to have swept under the rug. If we suspect the full picture of Tesla's work is not being told, how can we try to see it more clearly? The first and most crucial step is to go back to the primary sources. Read Tesla's Colorado Springs notebooks in their entirety, not just the few famous quotes. These dense journals contain day-by-day records, raw data, observations, and theoretical speculations. Cross-check with local weather records and astronomical events to reveal overlooked patterns. Second, conduct a thorough search of local archives. Old newspapers, town council minutes, and court records from 1899 and 1900. Search for personal documents, letters, diaries, family papers, held by historical societies or descendants, especially near Crystal Park. Third, meticulously study patents from before and after his time in Colorado. Patents show his most refined, legally defensible ideas. Compare patent concepts to experimental lab notes to trace theory development. Determine which ideas he protected legally and which remained speculative. Fourth, piece together a financial puzzle. Investigate Astor, power companies, and Tesla's banking records. Following the money helps explain why some histories are promoted over others. Beyond historical research, we can use the tools of modern science to reevaluate Tesla's claims. Our understanding of geophysics has advanced. We now model the ionosphere and the Schumann resonances. Scientists can simulate Tesla's experiments and attempt smaller-scale replications based on his precise notes. Experiments involving wireless lighting can be recreated safely. By following his methods, we can test whether his observations were accurate. This hands-on approach helps distinguish genuine phenomena from errors, grounding dramatic claims in the scientific method and providing a solid foundation for reevaluation. A critical review can also reassess the reported extraterrestrial signals, comparing patterns with natural sources such as planetary discharges, using modern radio astronomy techniques. It is not about proving mysticism, but assessing Tesla as a scientist and engineer. Some ideas may be incorrect, while others may prove astonishingly prescient. Using science as a lantern lets us move beyond speculation. It allows us to test claims with facts and measurements, clarifying true achievements and failures. The story of Tesla in Colorado Springs has two distinct parts. One is the record of an inventor who built a laboratory, ran out of money, and left. The other is a richer tapestry, his notes, local memories, and profound scientific questions. Both parts matter. We must re-examine notebooks and archives, listen to local memories, and test ideas with modern science to move beyond myth toward a clearer truth. In the end, Crystal Park sits quietly where a giant coil once hummed. The physical traces are gone, but the questions remain. We allow the facts to meet the wonder, and we might find that the story of Nikola Tesla in Colorado is far from over. It is waiting to be rediscovered. A heartfelt thanks to Thunderbird Perch for making this video possible. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, think about it. A new world awaits.